we have Nick Fazzini.
All right, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes? All right, I'm here this morning to talk about environment and safety, and it's even bigger than safety. It's how environment affects behavior, all right? My name's Nick Fazzini. I've been with Driscoll for 20 years. I was at this job site back in 2005. It was the first job site that I was at. Chaz was my first boss. Chaz and Ray basically took someone who knew nothing, and they were very patient with me, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I remember when we got VPP in 2005, I still got my Leatherman, carry it around with me, and you know, this job showed me what at the time, it was the highest functioning safety culture in Philadelphia ever, right? We're the only VPP site that it was the first one in Philly. So it's an honor to be back here and speaking to everyone. So what I'm here to talk about are some ideas, very selected ideas. Both these books are incredible, but they can change. Once I read them and applied them to what I do professionally and in my personal life, they changed the nature of my results, the way that I treated people, the way that I behaved. So the two books are Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. The big takeaway is little things make a big difference, and we think that they don't, but they really do. And this isn't like a, this is my opinion, man. Like, this is science, right? Like, this is objectively studied, proven in scientific surveys by social scientists that this is, our brain behaves in particular ways, okay? It's predictable, and we can engineer an environment to get what we want. In this case, safety, right? So a couple ideas. Environment affects behavior. I'll give you an example. You walk into a kitchen, it's sparkling clean. Everything is where it's supposed to be, and you have a dirty dish. What are you doing? You're putting that dish in the dishwasher, or you're washing it and putting it away. Because that environment tells you what is tolerated there. It's a clean environment, and you better behave accordingly, because you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb if you don't behave like that. Another example of this is the way that they cleaned up the New York City subways back in the 80s. You know, the subways were graffitied to high heavens, basically every square inch, inside and outside. So one of the things that they would do is they would take over a line, and once they took over a line, they would not allow a graffiti car to go out. And eventually, between that and stopping people from jumping the fares, they turned around the subway, because when something is covered in graffiti, a little petty crime is probably going to go unnoticed. If people are jumping over the turnstiles, that's the gateway to bigger and more serious crimes. So you change the environment, and people realize, I can't behave like that here. Like, this really works. The other thing is, good behavior is not sustainable in a bad environment. You don't have to take my word for it. You can take, you know, these are facts and takeaways from these two books. So what does a good environment look like? And I want to encourage you to think about what an environment of safety looks like. All right, I want you to realize the impact of very small things, that if we do them every day and everyone is a part of it, that can make a substantial difference in what this job site looks like, what our results are, okay? Think outside the box on safety, right? We're way past the days of PPE policing and, you know, other crap like that. Like, it's a basic thing. You have to do it, right? Like, we want to think at a higher level. How are we going to keep becoming excellent? And I want you to know, taking action makes a difference. If every person in this room does something with this every day and is thinking about it, you will change the nature of what this job site looks like. Your day-to-day will be better, your results will be better, you make more money, etc. So elements of a safe environment. This is what a safe job site looks like in my mind, all right? It's clean and organized, and there's no hazards. There's sufficient time and space, right? There's proper workforce availability, and you have all the resources that you need, tools, equipment, material, etc. How do you get that? For me, the root cause is always planning. It always comes back to having a vision and then working that plan, right? So I would encourage you all to think about, from big to the tiniest thing, how do I create this perfect job site? And all you have to do is find one little thing between the perfect job site and where reality is now, and do that one little thing. And if you keep doing that, and if everyone has that, like let's say you had a VPP safety committee that I know that you have here. If everyone had this and brought this in mind and worked on improving these things, you can change the game here and go up a whole nother level, all right? So imagine what that safe utopia of a job site looks like, and then start working on it. You create this environment, number one, you're planned really well, so you're at the right part of the triangle on safety, okay? But in those moments where you have that lapse of judgment, right? Someone's rushing and they do something unsafe, something happens. The chances of that happening go way down, because you know you're in a perfectly safe environment. You know you have time. You know that everyone is committed to safety. Those things go down. So here's some more ideas to consider. All right, atomic habits. The whole premise of atomic habits is that little marginal gains make a big difference if you consistently do them and you constantly are looking to get better. All right, atomic is a very small thing. It's the single irreducible unit of a larger system, and it's the source of immense power. And a habit is a routine, a practice that you do regularly, almost automatically. The reason habits are so important is because your brain is always trying to conserve energy, because it's just a survival mechanism. So your brain is being lazy to survive, and it creates habits. You can design your environment to cue good habits the same as you can be cued to do bad habits. When you understand how to do this, which I can't get into now, but it's in the book and it's easy to understand, you can design an environment that cues you to behave well. In this case, safely. All right, an example of 1% improvement, British cycling. I don't know much about cycling. This is from Atomic Habits. This guy, Dave Brailsford, took over the British cycling team in 2003, right? They were so bad that there were manufacturers who refused to sell bikes to the Brits because they didn't want other teams to see them riding the bikes. So they're like, oh, I'm not buying that bike. The Brits ride those bikes, they're terrible. 5 years later, in 2008, they're dominating the Beijing Olympics, taking home 60% of the available gold medals. 4 years after that, they raised the bar even further, 9 Olympic records and 7 world records. So how did they do that? The small things make a difference. It's called the aggregation of marginal gains. They broke everything down that goes into riding a bike, everything, a human being riding a bike, and figured out a way to improve it in some way, okay? The result was a significant improvement, as is evidenced by their results. Okay, here's some examples. Nothing is safe, nothing is sacred. They redesigned the bike seats. They rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They wore heated shorts for optimal muscle temperature during their workouts. They had biofeedback sensors to measure the effectiveness of their workout. They wind tunnel tested all the available fabrics. What they found was indoor suits are actually faster for riding outdoors, because nothing was sacred to them. They tried everything. They painted the inside of the bus white, where they store all the bikes, so they could better see little bits of dirt that could get caught up in a gear or a mechanism for these high performance machines. You need massage gel to recover, right? These are high performance athletes. They tried every single one. They found there was a best one. Hand washing, we all know that's the root of good hygiene and so forth. They had a surgeon come in and train the bike riders how to wash their hands to reduce the chance that they ever got a cold and they would miss training time. And hundreds of other things, right? So nothing is sacred. You're on the constant pursuit of excellence, and every little thing makes a difference. To put it statistically, 1% better every day is a 38% improvement in a year. So if safety was 38% better in a year, and all you gotta do is find something little every day, it sure seems worth it, right? Now, there's been a little bit of a rocky patch, which, you know, Ray was talking about. You go 1% down over the course of a year, you drop to 0. So the other thing is just being vigilant and making sure that you're always chasing excellence so that you're always getting better and not worse. All right? Why don't we do this? Myself included, because I'm not in my ideal physical condition, I'll tell you that right now. We don't get through the valley of disappointment, okay? We think that results will be linear, like, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've said to my wife, I ate really healthy today. Why am I not skinny, right? Because we think it's going to be linear. It's not linear. Results are more exponential in nature, and you have to get through what's called the valley of disappointment, which is right here. If you can fight through and get to this point with your consistent habits and consistent work on this, that changes the game, and then people will say, oh, it's an overnight sensation. We don't know how they did this. This is amazing. You should see what they're doing down there. You know, what are you taking? How did you get so skinny? No, it's doing the right work consistently. All right, next concept. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about this for a second. In a game of sports, in life or in the job site, the winners and the losers have the exact same goals, okay? Does anyone want to have less money or more money, right? I think we all want more money. Everyone wants to be healthy. Everyone wants to go home safe. Everyone wants to win the game. The difference between the winners and the losers are their systems and how they go about it, okay? So you want to work on your systems. The myth of willpower and the power of environment. All right, so this was a shocking study that he goes through in Atomic Habits. So in 1971, it was discovered 35% of our soldiers in Vietnam had tried heroin. 20% of them were addicted, okay? So as a result, they started the Special Action Office of Drug Abuse Prevention. It was created to promote prevention, rehabilitation, mostly track soldiers when they came home, try to look after them, get them some help, and see what happened when they came home. What they found turned prevailing wisdom absolutely on its head, okay? 9 out of 10 soldiers kicked the habit upon returning home, which was shocking and unexplainable. So put another way, 10% of soldiers continue their addiction upon returning home. Typical heroin addicts have a 90% relapse rate upon leaving rehab. So how can we possibly explain that? It's the myth of willpower, and it's the power of environment. So let's look at the cues of the environment. In Vietnam, hear me when I step away from the microphone? All right. In Vietnam, here's your cues. Number 1, it's easy to access. Number 2, you're under the constant stress of war. You may die tomorrow, okay? You've made new relationships formed around using. You're thousands of miles from home. When you go home, that entire environment completely disappears, and you have a 90% success rate, okay? A typical user gets addicted at home in familiar environment, surrounded by friends, and they leave that environment and they go to a clinic devoid of all of that stimuli. They kick it, they come home, and there's a 90% failure rate. So it's a really extreme example, but it really clearly illustrates how powerful environment is on our behavior. So the myth of willpower. We've all been told unhealthy behavior is a moral weakness, right? That's deeply embedded in our culture. I can hear my father telling it to me right now. If you're overweight, you're a smoker, an addict, you lack self-control, you may even be a bad person, right? It's wrong. Science does not support that. When scientists analyze people who have tremendous self-control, they find that they organize their lives and their environment to not need it. So the people that appear to have the most self-control actually don't even really need it. So again, your environment, right? So work on your environment. So I want to circle back and draw some conclusions. Picture that perfect job in your mind, okay? We talked about it, clean and organized, no hazards, sufficient time and space, proper workforce availability, proper resource availability. Find a 1% improvement toward that every day, all right? You will change your environment. That will change the behavior of everyone around you on the job site. And this works in your real life too. I strongly encourage you to read Atomic Habits. It's an awesome book and it'll give you a lot to think about. It gave me the courage to create a different environment on the job sites that I'm a part of and with my teams. It will take time. You got to get through the valley of disappointment, and it will take work, but it will work. It's science. To make it atomic, everybody's got to do it. But what I'm trying to do is just give you some examples so that hopefully you feel empowered that every single person doing this together could make a big difference, and that would be a way better place to come to work, right? We all want to have it be great. So make it atomic. Everybody, every day, everywhere. So the 2 books again, Atomic Habits and The Tipping Point. I'd encourage you to read both of them. Appreciate your time, and hope you got something out of it. Thank you.